If there's an emergency in Sipsey tonight and somebody dials 911, that call's not going to come here to Sipsey Police Department, and these walkie-talkies are going to be pretty quiet because this call's going to Walker County Sheriff's Department. And in fact, the Sheriff's Department is about 22 to 20 minutes away from here, so it's going to take those deputies a little while to respond to that call, which has residents pretty concerned. The Mayor Jerry Sadler and Councilor Donald Jean hand-delivered a letter to the police chief who says he had no warning.
Well, that would be the proper procedure. First would be a verbal, second would be a written, the third would have been a letter of termination.
He says the first two warnings didn't happen. According to some of the other counselors, they had no idea that it was happening until after the fact. In the letter, it states that the chief is defiant and does not follow the regulations for the reserve officers. Those are just volunteer police officers because before Chief Moses brought them on, he was the only one.
They were saying that I wasn't supervising them to the point where they thought I should be.
But according to the reserve officers, Chief Moses had pretty strict guidelines.
We would survey the situation and just make sure that everything was okay, and if it wasn't, then we knew Chief was right there with us to handle that situation accordingly. Now
the radios are silent and all the volunteer police officers and the chief are locked out of the police department. We stopped by this gas station to ask people living here what they think about the police station closing, asking over a dozen people who would not say anything on camera because they felt that what they really had to say about it would not be good for them in the long run. I also reached out to Mayor Sadler and Councilor Jean, and I was unable to get in touch with either of them. Chief Moses tells me he has 10 days to submit a letter to the town council to request a hearing, and he plans to do so. In Sipsey, Hannah Ward, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
Problems surfacing in Sipsey 3 weeks after its police department is shut down. Hannah Ward spoke with some very concerned people there tonight. Hannah?
Steve, some people in Sipsey are already complaining about the long wait time for Walker County Sheriff's Department, which is also short-staffed, and some are even reporting more crime since the mayor and the council made the decision to dissolve the police department.
You know, our church was broke into by itself since we haven't had the police department.
The youth pastor at Sipsey Church of God thinks that criminals are taking advantage of this time without police.
If we still had a police department here, honestly, I don't think we'd ever been broke into, because with Chief Moses and the police staff that he had, they were on top of things.
He says Sipsey is a place that needs to be policed.
Drugs, the robberies, even down to people getting beat up in the streets, you know.
The council made the final decision to dissolve the police department Friday, and Ragsdale, along with other citizens, only expect the crime to get worse. But the mayor doesn't think it's an issue.
Do you think it's, having this time without police could be dangerous for the community? Is it a public safety threat?
Well, I don't know about that. I couldn't tell you. I ain't out here in the streets no more. Like I say, I have to stay at home with my wife.
Yeah, I understand, but what about the citizens that you're the mayor of?
The citizens, they know what the situation is. They're aware of it.
As for the minister that I've spoken to, he feels that they have to take safety into their own hands.
I will not walk in my church without a weapon on my side. And I believe that something is happening within this community that they don't want the police around for.
The mayor says he's working on a grant to help the police station, but he doesn't know when that grant will be finished. And I asked him if he has any plans for the police department in the meantime, and he didn't have an answer. Hannah Ward, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.
Days after getting rid of his town's police department,
the mayor of Sipsey in Walker County is addressing concerns about illegal rooster fighting with WBRC Fox 6 News.
Hannah Ward has been investigating this story. She's live now with what she's found. Hannah?
Jonathan, the timing of our investigation comes as residents of this small town are worried about what's going on in Sipsey. Take a look at this land that we're told is owned by Sipsey Mayor Jerry Sadler. Roosters can be seen roaming everywhere. Some residents who didn't want to be identified expressed concern to WBRC Fox 6 News that Sadler might be doing something illegal. Some people mentioned rooster fighting.
Yeah, I go to Philippines. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie about that. That's all I've ever done all my life. That's all I know. It's my income. I got the best in the world. I turned down $5,000 for one hen, and she stays in my house every night.
Okay.
I'll show her to you one of these days you come to my house.
Okay. Are you legally allowed to do that here?
Yeah, it's legal. It ain't no laws against it.
After watching the mayor's comments, I believe he's admitted to at least a federal crime. If I were his defense lawyer, I would be troubled by that statement.
Defense lawyer Tommy Spina says the federal law in question is U.S. Code 2156, which states that buying, selling, delivering, possessing, training, or transporting animals for participation in animal fighting is unlawful.
But I have people come over here from the Philippines, Guam, and everywhere else and buying roosters. And I ship them back from here to California. Another friend out there ships them to the Philippines and all over the world. I send them to California and there. I sell to everybody.
Attorney Spina says the federal law says it's also illegal to transport roosters for fighting across state lines.
That makes it a felony to utilize any sort of interstate shipment or possession of an animal that's raised for purposes of fighting. The punishment has a statutory maximum of 5 years imprisonment.
Spina says he believes Sadler might be violating some state gambling laws as well. It is important to point out that Mayor Sadler has not been charged with any crime in connection to the roosters that were on his property. Both the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office are both aware of my interview with Mayor Sadler, but haven't confirmed whether there is any investigation or there's not. Now, I did try to reach out to Mayor Sadler today to give him the opportunity to respond to this story. Unfortunately, I could not get in touch with him before the story aired, but I'll continue to try to get in touch with him. And if he has a comment, I'll bring it to you on our WBRC News app. Live in the newsroom, Hannah Ward, WBRC Fox 6 News, on your side.